Spider-Man kills Mary Jane Watson. I'm losing it. This happens in Spider-Man Reign, which is a short story that takes place on Earth 70237. The main purpose of this story is to delve into what would happen exactly if Spider-Man decided to retire and then grew old. Spoiler alert, it doesn't go super great for New York City. The story starts out with a retired older Spider-Man getting yelled at by his much younger boss. And as usual, Peter has some horrific luck with jobs and ends up getting fired in basically the first page. But on his way home, a kid elbows him in the back, knocking him to the ground. The kid is actually running away from the new military police in New York City called Rain. Rain ends up catching the kid, but when they ask him his name, he says it's Bendover. This makes Peter smile and probably brought him back to the times when he would say funny quips to villains. But because he related to this kid a little bit, he decides to try to help him out, but in doing so, he gets an elbow to the face and ends up breaking his arm as well. Rain is one of those organizations that doesn't hold back at all, so if you're in their way, they're just gonna run right through you. He does eventually make it home with his arm in a sling, and he brings back some flowers for his deceased wife, Mary Jane. But this is when he starts hallucinating her, and he starts to say that he's sorry. But those hallucinations even creep into his dreams when he sleeps. He sees Mary Jane in his bed and reveals that this is the first time in decades that he's felt good and normal. But then he wakes up all alone, completely by himself. However, he does have a knock on the door, so he has to go see what that's about. Peter opens the door to see an elderly J. Jonah Jameson, but before Jameson can even get any words out, Peter slams the door in his face. However, before Peter could slam the door, he left a package inside with him. And Jonah, before leaving the hallway to the apartment, tells him you have to open it. And when he does open it, he finds one of his cameras from back when he worked at the Daily Bugle. When he looks closer, he finds something wrapped around the camera, and it's one of his old Spider-Man masks. Happening all at the same time, J. Jonah Jameson starts vandalizing cars with his cane, hoping to bring Spider-Man back out, which is kind of hilarious because J. Jonah Jameson is the one who spent his entire life slandering Spider-Man, calling him a menace, but he's the only one desperate enough to call him back to action. But however funny it is, it works and he comes back. But not just his mask, everything begins to come back. His strength, his agility, his speed. Just a few panels ago, he got his ass handed to him by one of these guys, and now he's able to take on two of them at the same time. After he dispatches the Rain members, J. Jonah Jameson talks to him and tells him that he needs him to come back. But instead of listening to him, Peter decides to punch him in the face and walk away. But since he took out those officers, this actually gets the attention of the governor. And the governor says to catch a spider, you have to release some flies, which means that he's going to release the Sinister Six. Peter packs his bags with the intention to leave New York because he knows that the law is about to be after him from what he just did. But before he can leave, he actually sees another hallucination of Mary Jane Watson. But for the first time in 30 years, the hallucinations of her smile. She's smiling because she knows that Peter has to turn back into Spider-Man right now. There's a complete army outside the door waiting for him, and a man has just been killed in cold blood. And in a flash, he jumps off his balcony towards an army, wearing the black Spider-Man suit for the first time in decades. And he's not holding anything back. He's going 1 versus 1,000 right now. He's holding his own until the Sinister Six show up, and he gets smashed to the ground by a Sandman. After this, Kraven comes up to him with a knife to his throat, saying that he already killed him before, basically referring to Kraven's last hunt. But before slitting his throat, he decides that he's gonna unmask Peter in front of the entire city. But right before he's about to be brutally murdered, we see some familiar arms knock out the Sinister Six and take Peter away. But strangely, Peter knows what's going on. He says, I was judged a long time ago. I'm gonna meet her now. He's taken to a graveyard where he sees all of his dead family members and loved ones. But it's revealed that the Doc Ock that saved him isn't alive anymore. Otto gave his 4 arms one last mission for after he died. A mission that would bring Peter Parker to the ones that he's lost and bury him alive. And so he dumps the corpse of Mary Jane out of her coffin. But as she's falling, he doesn't see a decayed corpse. He sees his wife, Mary Jane. And this causes him to have a flashback of Mary Jane on her deathbed. She was nearly gone from the cancer, but Peter had to go save the city. He was too worried about the city to even hear what her last words were. All we see is that she said go. And this is where it's revealed that he was actually the cause of her death. Peter says that the doctors were wondering why she got such severe cancer at such a young age, but he knew the entire time. It was from loving him and being close to him. He was bitten by a radioactive spider, and that caused his blood to become radioactive. But not just his blood, every fluid that he got on her or in her. I'm sorry, you guys, I couldn't hold the laugh in. But he says that loving me is what killed you. He says, like a spider crawling up inside your body and laying 1,000 eggs of cancer. But as Otto's tentacles drag Mary Jane back to her coffin, she reveals that what she was saying before her death was, go get him, Tiger. She wasn't upset with him for saving the city. She wanted him to. That's why she loved him, because he's the type of guy that would save the city no matter what's going on. But even after all that, this depressed old Peter goes in to lay with her in her coffin to rest forever. But when he's inside the coffin, he sees something. He sees hope. He punches his way out of the coffin and emerges in his red and blue suit, reborn once again as Spider-Man. There are more issues of this, so if you want to see that in the future, let me know. But what I really wanted to show you guys today was this portion of the story. The story of Spider-Man regaining hope after losing everything and everyone that he's ever loved. I don't know, to me I guess it just feels really uplifting and it made me smile. That's why I love characters like Spider-Man or Superman, because they're the type of people that inspire hope in you. But if you guys like this content and want to see more, remember to like and subscribe so that you can see everything upcoming, and I'm also trying to hit 100k soon. Unfortunately, I couldn't end the video without showing this. After all this character development and everything, he does end up getting his brains bashed in by Morlun with Mary Jane's tombstone.